So let's take a look at disk roles, and there are three types for Azure. We have data disk, OS disk, and temporary disk, and it's possible to see all these roles if you were to spin up a Windows 10 Pro server, went in remote access, and looked at the disk management. And so that is our drives that are attached to this virtual machine, and we have the OS disk, the temporary disk, and the data disk. If you're wondering what those three things are, that's what we're going to talk about now. So the data disk is a managed disk that's attached to the virtual machine to store application data and other data you need to keep. It's registered as an SCSI drive, I think it's pronounced SCSI, and are labeled with a letter that you choose, has a maximum capacity of 32 gigabytes, and the size of the VM determines how many data disks you can attach and the type of storage you can use. Moving on to OS disk, every virtual machine has one attached operating system disk. The OS disk has pre-installed OS, which was selected with the VM that was created. The disk contains the boot volume. The disk has a maximum capacity of 4 gigabytes. Then onto our temporary disk. This is the most VMs contain a temporary disk, which is not a managed disk, provides short-term storage for applications and processing, and is intended to store data such as page or swap files. Data on the temporary disk may be lost during a maintenance event or when redeployed to a VM. During successful standard reboot of the VM, data on the temporary disk will persist. The temporary disk is typically mounted on Dev's SBD on Linux, and on Windows, the temporary disk is generally assigned to the D drive. And for these disks, they're not encrypted with SSE unless you enable encryption at the host level.